Hi beautiful, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to share with you my everyday makeup routine. I am going to insert a clip of me picking out the products and showing you guys my everyday makeup products that I use. Here is an overview of my everyday makeup. I have brushes up there which I use from day to day, and these are the major makeup I use. So I have the Welletta Skin Food Rich Intensive Skincare Moisturizer, and I love this stuff. I do have oily skin, but for some reason I really enjoy this. It seeps into my skin pretty quick, and I have been using this as my primer, believe it or not, and it works great. I have the Glow Recipe Ultrafine Mist, and I have a couple of mirrors there and sanitizer, and of course you have to have this for base products. These are the main ones that I currently use. So at the moment I've been loving the Stay Naked foundation from Urban Decay. It gives me the best coverage as well. It makes my skin looks pretty good. It lasts throughout the day, so we're going to use that. For concealer, I have a few options, but the ones that I've been using at the moment are these two. NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, mainly because this is almost out. It's starting to feel a little bit dry, but I'm committed to fully using this up. And then I mix in the Australia's Fresh and Flawless. As you can see, it's very well loved, and I use this every day. I think I don't have much left in here, so I'm trying to use that up. For primers, these are the two main ones that I use, but I honestly have stopped wearing them since I discovered this. So I'm going to show you my everyday makeup look without a primer and just an SPF. This is the BB cream that I love. This is my second tube, and then the Born This Way concealer. And then on the bottom one are just like mixture of stuff. So I have the Derma8. This is a hydrocortisone cream. I use this whenever I get like facial reaction. It just works great. And I have been loving this XO Beauty the Remix palette. It has everything that I need, from face highlight to eyeshadow to blush, and sometimes for my brows. So I love this stuff, so we're going to use it today. Mascara, of course. This is the best mascara I've tried so far. This works so much better when it's a little bit dry, and it will make you look like you're wearing false lashes. For translucent powder, I have been using this Bare Minerals translucent, touch-up veil, and this has got SPF 15, so that's a plus for me. For my under eye, I've been using this Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder, and this one is in diffused light. I've hit pan on this already, so we're going to use that today. For my brows, these two Hourglass Arch Brow Sculpting Pencil, and then I set it with the Off and On Brow Fix. For lips, I typically stick with this one, but if I want something, then I will use the e.l.f. Lip Plumping Gloss. For bronzer, this is the bronzer from Model's Own. I don't even know if you could purchase Model's Own anymore. I got this when I was in Australia from Priceline, and this is in deep tan, and same again, I'm just trying to use this up. And then I have a few lip products in here, of course, Lash Curler, Lano Lips, and this one is almost finished as well. I like to use this as a moisturizing balm and another Physicians Formula. So yeah, these are the products that I use from day to day. So I'm going to switch over to the actual camera and we can put everything on our face. So I typically use primer on daily basis, but since I've been getting a lot of textures on my skin felt quite dehydrated. Also, nothing sits on my skin properly, so I've started not using primer, and instead I've been using a moisturizer. So this Welletta Skin Food Moisturizer I have been wearing for the past week or so because I've been trying it out. And to my surprise, it actually made my skin look a lot better. Now, I do have a lot of pores, but surprisingly enough, whenever I use this and then I put on a foundation, my skin just looks pretty even. It looks quite healthy. It doesn't look dehydrated, and it doesn't have as much textures as I would normally get whenever I wear primers. So I've already had that on my skin, and I'm quickly going to fill in my brows. Now I went back and started using the Hourglass brow pencil once again because it's just easy. The nib of this looks like this, and then the spoolie is there. So it takes me roughly less than a minute to fill in both of my brows. I'm just gonna quickly do that. And as you can see, I kind of just filled in these sparse areas and then brush it off. And that's basically it for my brows. And to set my brows, I am going to use the Off and On Brow Fix. The Off and On is not actually an actual brand. It is more so a salon that I normally get my brows done. And I'm glad that they started coming out with their own products. I had the brow pencil as well, but I've already finished that one and I have not gotten around to repurchasing it because I'm trying to use up the products that I have. I don't like my brows to be super perfect and super shaped, so I kind of like a little bit of imperfection on my brow because for an everyday basis, you don't really have time for that. Also, this routine right here, I could get it down in probably 10 minutes max, just depending on what I do or not do. So I'm going to move on to the face, and I'm going to use the Urban Decay Stay Naked Foundation. I love this because it gives me a perfect coverage as well as it doesn't feel heavy on my skin. So what I normally do is I'll pump a few on my finger and then I will blend it out with a brush. And mind you, I have oily skin, so the fact that I'm not wearing primer at the moment says a lot. But as you can see, my skin feels very even. It feels kind of lightweight because we got rid of the extra product that we apply on our face. And also my pores is not as visible. Like, it's still there, but we will try to get rid of that in the next few steps. If I want to cover a little bit more, I'll just pump a little bit of the foundation and kind of just stay on the areas that I fully want covered. I'm not really bothered on full coverage anymore. I kind of like my skin to show a little bit because at the end of the day, it's all about how we feel on the inside. And for concealer today, I am going to mix two products. I have the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer and the Australis Fresh and Flawless. The NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, I'm just trying to use it all up. I don't think I will ever repurchase because I find it looks a little bit heavy on my eye. And I like to layer my concealer because I have really dark circles. So the brightening concealer, I'll typically just put it along here. And this is where I use a sponge to blend out my concealer. Like, see how my pores is not that visible, and that's without a primer. My under eye is a little bit too dark, so I'm going to add a little bit more concealer just to conceal the bags. And to set my face, I am going to use the Bare Minerals Touch Up Veil, and this has got SPF 15. I don't see the SPF to be giving a white cast whenever I take a photo, but I like this powder because it's compact, it sets my makeup beautifully. So what I do is, instead of using a brush, I actually use this side of my sponge to really press the product in, and I find that it helps with the pores as well. That's how my face is looking. I seriously am so obsessed. Like, I've been wearing this routine for about a week now, and that's without a primer, and I find that my face lasts throughout the day and it creates just like a nice luminosity whenever I wear it throughout the day. For bronzer, I'm going to use the Model's Own bronzer. I don't think you could get this bronzer anymore. I purchased this when I was over in Australia. So what I like to do is to pick up this brush, preferably like the ones that it's a little bit tapered. You could get the Real Techniques blush brush. And what I do is I hold the end of the brush and I kind of just do that with light hand. And I find that it picks up a decent amount of product. And I would bronze my skin, so with a very light hand. So it's all about the wrist work, not the hand. So I let my wrist do the work. That way it will look more natural and more airbrush. And that's my face bronze. And now I am going to use the palette for the rest of the face. For blush, I like to use this shade right here, which is called Bestie, and this is the BH Cosmetics by XO. I am so obsessed with this palette. Also the fact that the pans are quite big enough for you to fit your face brush. So I like to use Bestie and then start on the temples and then work my way down and kind of go circular motions and then put a little bit of that on the temples. I did put a little bit too much on here, but don't you worry, we're going to blend it out. But as you can see, it just adds a nice flush of color without having to add too much. And for highlighter today, I am going to use the same palette, and I'm going to dip into the shade called Island Glow. And I like to use the tip of the brush and kind of slowly apply that on the cheek area. And this will give you a nice golden highlight. I put a little bit too much, so then we can go back to the bronzer brush and sweep it up a little bit. And that's basically it for my face. For the eyeshadow today, I am going to use this shade called I Need You and grab like a medium-sized fluffy brush. And what I do is I just apply this all over my lids without being too precise, because I just like the tone that it gives. Also, I did not apply any concealer or any product on my lid because I quite like the darkness that I have on my eyes. So instead of covering that, I enhance it using an eyeshadow tone, which is somewhat similar to the darkness of my lid. I know it's kind of weird, but trust me, this looks pretty put together, and also it doesn't take me that long. You could also use your bronzer for this part, which will make more sense, and also it will be a lot handy. But because I already have this eyeshadow palette and I like the tone of the shade, I like using this. And then I like to put a little bit on the lower lash line, messily. I am going to go and use this darker brown right here. That one is called Dark Horse. And with a pencil brush like this, I like to pick up the darker brown and kind of put that along the lash line. Put that along the lash line, which is this one right here, and kind of winging it out. So we have a definition on that area. Again, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be quite messy, but it does the trick for me. And it kind of lifts your eye upwards as well. And for the inner corner highlight, I like to use this shade called Holy Grail, which is this one right here. It's a nice cool toned, which goes well with the shades that I already have on my lids, and also it just creates a nice shimmer of highlight on the inner corner of the eye. And before I apply mascara, I like to go in with this powder right here. This is the ambient powder from Hourglass, and I like to use my sponge, dip into the powder, and kind of perfect the under eye and highlight that a little bit, just so it's not gonna look like super cakey and gross. I also like to kind of correct the sides of my face with this powder, and it adds a subtle glow as well. I'm gonna quickly apply my mascara. I have the Essence False Lash Mascara. And I seriously love the shades that I use because it makes my eyes look sultry without trying too hard. And for the lips, I am going to use the e.l.f. Plumping Gloss in the shade Mocha Twist. And I love this lip gloss. Not because of the sensation it gives. For me, it doesn't really do a lot. But for the shade, because it's honestly my lips but better. And it smells like salted caramel ice cream. Last but not the least, because I like to glow, I like to set my face with this Glow Recipe Ultra Fine Mist. I concentrate this spray mainly on the cheek area, my forehead, and my chin because I feel like that's the areas where I tend to look a little bit cakey throughout the day. But yeah, here is my everyday makeup look. At first, I've heard a lot of beauty gurus trying to stay away from makeup, from makeup primer. And I kind of felt iffy about this because primers are meant to protect your skin as well as help you create a smooth canvas. But ever since I've tried that, I don't think I could ever go back to using primer. I feel like the number one trick for you to have a really good, smooth, even textured skin is to honestly just have a really good moisturizer on hand. It doesn't matter if you have really dry skin or oily skin. Like I do have oily acne prone skin, and the fact that my skin looks so good without a primer, it says a lot. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more updates, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.